Hey, it's Jared. Let's compare the GoPro Hero 11 Black to the GoPro Hero 11 Black Mini. These are two GoPros that do a lot, and I was super excited when GoPro brought back the Mini form factor. I decided to purchase one immediately, just as I did with the 11 Black. I have two of the 11 Blacks and one of the Mini, and I've been utilizing these cameras for quite some time, so I thought I would give my opinions and then also help you make a decision, because the Mini is lacking some things, but it's not missing features that might matter to you. So make sure to watch this video all the way through. So looking at both of the cameras side by side, they're both pretty much the exact same size and height, but the Mini is definitely not nearly as wide. And that's an issue that I run into sometimes with the GoPro Hero 11 or this GoPro form factor, is that it's a bit wider and sometimes just doesn't get into those smaller spots. Of course, the main thing that you're noticing that's lacking on the front of the Mini is a front display, but that's about it. I mean, you can see a better microphone, a stereo microphone on the front here, which the Mini does not have. It just has a smaller microphone. And then of course, if we flip over to the back, you can see the GoPro Hero 11 has a large screen that covers pretty much the entire rear side of the GoPro, whereas the Mini has additional mounting points, which are fantastic. I'm so glad that they added these additional mounting points, because a lot of times you have your GoPro kind of hanging off of something and there's just a lot of portion here that can push and move a GoPro around. So it's great to have this additional mounting point. I wish the other GoPros had it, but they don't. I use this mounting point quite often because many times, especially when you're filming on a vehicle or something or on an airplane, the wind can push on the mounting point here and push the GoPro, because this becomes something that just catches wind and the wind can slowly push it, or vibration and wind combined can push this over. It's a lot harder to do that with those rear mounting points. Let's talk about the main similarities between these two cameras. First of all, they both shoot the same resolution of footage, up to 5.3K, with that 8x7 form factor that they added to the 11, so that you can reframe your image and get the most resolution possible. That 5.3K is available on both of these. They both have the same 1/1.9-inch CMOS sensor, so sensors are the exact same in both of these cameras. They both also have GoPro's latest processor, the GP2, which makes image quality improved, low light capability improved, and just their snappy system using that GP2 processor. They both have HyperSmooth 5.0 for image stabilization, so you're not lacking anything in the smaller camera. This HyperSmooth 5.0 is digital stabilization anyways, so all it is software that's running, and because of the GP2 chip, they can run that software on both of these cameras. They both have the same video modes. That time warp, time lapse, and night lapse features are both available on the GoPros here. And those video mode features like star trails, light painting, and vehicle light trails are both available here as well. The challenge with those is that you're going to have to use the GoPro app with something like the Mini, and we'll talk a little bit more about that with my experiences as we get through this video. They both shoot 10-bit color when you're shooting 4K or higher modes. Of course, lower than 4K, it's 8-bit, but that's the same on both of these cameras. They both have all of the same field of view options, you know, from the linear with horizon lock all the way to hyper view. Those features are both available here. Of course, it's easier to switch between those on the GoPro Hero 11 Black than it is on the Mini, because you have to use the app for the Mini. They're also both water resistant up to 10 meters, and so without adding any sort of case or anything to these, submergible to 10 meters, which is awesome. And they both have 3 microphones, even though the microphones aren't the same on these. They both have 3 microphones with advanced noise processing. So great similarities between these, despite the fact that one is significantly smaller than the other. Now, before we talk about the differences with the things that the Mini is lacking, let's talk a little bit about my experiences. I have gotten really used to using the displays on the GoPro. for not only framing my shots, but also for adjusting settings. I almost never go into the GoPro app, which of course is still faster to use the GoPro app. But to have to pull out my phone and go into the app and wait for it to connect and sometimes reconnect it if it's been a little while, it takes a lot of time for me to use the GoPro app. Then sometimes there's software updates, and there ends up being things that delay my start time and eats up batteries in the GoPro as I'm trying to get ready to shoot. So I try not to use the app unless I absolutely have to. And I don't have to use the app very often because the displays on the GoPro Hero 11 Black are great, and it's easy for me to just use my fingertips and get through the different menus. And so just to give you an example, I'm in that highest resolution possible right now, which doesn't go to the full edge. That's why there's black bars on both sides. I can easily make my adjustments by tapping on the screen and choosing between the different video presets. So if I want to go back over to wide and have that full range, I've got some digital zoom that I can apply here. I've got my frame rate that I can adjust for slow motion. I can turn hyper smooth on and off. I can zoom in and out if I want just by tapping and sliding. If I'm with slow motion mode, I can make all of my adjustments right here, which is absolutely great. And then go and review footage and stuff like that as well. And then I've got my front facing camera here for framing up shots, and also shows me details that I need to know about my cameras if I am using them in a lot of different scenarios. All of those things are not available on the 11 Mini. The 11 Mini has a tiny display that's going to allow you to see whether or not you're recording. Of course, there's a red tally light as well, but it will show you what video mode you're in. So you can see your resolution and frame rate, but that's about all the information you're going to be able to see here. You're not going to be able to switch between different presets and stuff like that. As you want to change up your settings, you're going to have to go to the GoPro app for that. So what are the main differences in the Mini besides some of the things that I've already mentioned? Well, one thing I didn't notice until I went to try and use it is the Mini does not have photo options at all. It is a video only action camera. And that makes sense. There's no displays for you to frame up your shot or anything like that. So why have photo features at all? This lacks that. So if you're wanting a GoPro that has photo features, the Mini is not going to be for you. It also doesn't have GPS. And so any features that the GoPro would have that utilize GPS are not going to be available on the Mini. GPS takes up a little bit of additional space inside the camera, and you're going to need the bigger camera body for that. So if you want GPS on your camera that's going to be able to log location data and stuff like that, you're going to need the full-size GoPro. The Mini doesn't have that. The Mini also has a smaller battery. That makes sense, and that battery is non-removable. If you open up the door here, you have a charging port and a micro SD card slot. There is no removable battery. And so with this 1500 milliamp battery, which is smaller than the battery that's in the 11, the larger 11 that has a 1720 milliamp battery that is removable, you're going to have a shorter lifespan with this camera. If you need to run longer distances with the 11 Mini, you're going to need to run a cable to it and have it plugged in and having external power running to this camera. That's definitely something that you can do and you'll need to do if you want to run this camera for longer periods of time, or not have it go down because the battery runs out. The battery will run out faster in this camera because it is smaller and not as large as the 1720 milliamp battery that is user removable just by pulling the little tab. And of course you can remove the battery. Both of these cameras do come with the new Enduro style battery. GoPro has moved to this new Enduro style battery. I don't even know if they sell the old blue tabbed batteries anymore, but the Enduro battery is better in harsher environments and definitely has a longer battery life. I wasn't running into any issues with battery life and the Mini. I typically was shooting shorter spurts of time with the Mini. The first video that I shot with this little camera was my son's birthday. We went tubing in the snow, and it was a great little camera for that, just on a little selfie stick and hand it to the kids. There's no displays or anything on it that are going to get damaged. Like, you know, it has, just like the other GoPros, a removable lens. And so if the lens gets scratched or something like that, it's not a problem. And of course I can use my ND filters and other lens accessories on the Mini as well. And so that's what I really like about the Mini. And because of the shorter battery life, I'm usually using it in situations that are quick minute-long shots or something like that, not longer shots that where it's mounted to something for 15-20 minutes or something, or even longer. The Mini also doesn't have those recall features, those neat features like hindsight that pre-records a little bit of footage just in case you miss the shot. It doesn't have the schedule shot, which allows you to schedule the camera to power on and start shooting. And it doesn't have the duration capture options as well that allow you to set how long you want the camera to record before it stops. Those are things that you need the larger 11 for. The Mini can't be used as a webcam, and it would be kind of a bummer as a webcam anyways because it doesn't have a display for you to preview and set up the angle. So you can't use it as a webcam. It doesn't have stereo audio as well. We were looking at the different mics. You know, on the front of the 11, we've got the larger mic, and on the Mini, we have smaller mics throughout the camera. There's one back here too, behind these doors. And so if you're wanting the rear mic to work really well, that's back here. So on the top, the front, and the back, 3 mics, and none of those are stereo mics. The Mini also doesn't support the 3.5 millimeter adapter. So this adapter that plugs in via USB-C and allows you to attach a microphone and even pass through charging to your GoPro. From what the GoPro website says and some of my research, like, this doesn't work. I haven't rigged this up myself because in every scenario where I'm using this adapter, I don't want to troubleshoot. I just want to go with what I know works. From what I understand, that doesn't work and it doesn't support that. As I mentioned before, there are no custom presets that you can configure in the Mini because it doesn't really have any easy way for you to switch between them. And the Mini also, because of its lack of GPS, is my guess, doesn't support the post-production ability to add like the data overlays, which you can use in post-capture. Adding those data overlays, like how fast you're going, stuff like that. That's all data that is collected via GPS and is written to the file so that you can edit and add those cool overlays. So those are the main differences. So which GoPro should you end up getting? Well, if I went over some features and you want those features and the Mini doesn't have them, that's pretty much an indicator that you need to go with the bigger GoPro. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's definitely more flexible, especially considering it has user changeable batteries, and you can run this GoPro all day long, just switching out the batteries or even just running a USB-C charger into the side of this, putting a large micro SD card in there and just letting it rip. The larger GoPro definitely does a better job there. But the Mini gets you into places that the larger GoPro just can't get in. I mentioned the mounting points on the back being a huge seller for me because there's many times where I mount my GoPro, I have it locked down, and just the wind and the vibration, it just can't hold it. And I haven't had those issues with the Mini. Besides the Mini fitting into small spots, it's just more discreet because it is a bit smaller. There aren't displays. There aren't other ways for the battery to run down longer on accident. You can't easily make mistakes by swiping to different settings. It's just one button starts recording, one button, the thing turns off. But it's a very simple to use GoPro. And so this is a great GoPro if you are going to hand it to somebody and you say, hey, just hit the red record button and let it go and, you know, do whatever. And then when you're done, hit stop. When I was in Alaska and my son and I ran into the ocean on summer solstice, and this was the GoPro I chose, it's just easy and you set it and forget it. It's one click and done. But you do have to go through the GoPro app in order to make any configuration changes, which could be a frustration. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I've also got a video of a whole bunch of accessories, my GoPro kit here, which as you can see, this case is full of GoPro accessories that I utilize all the time. So make sure to check out that video now that you're finished with this one, and let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. Give the video a subscribe and a thumbs up. We'll see you back in another one soon. Take care.